Hello and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Justin. I'm here with my co-host, Tyler.
I am so thrilled to be here.
It's because I like the way you walk and I like the way you talk.
Nobody's ever said that except my mom.
Well, I'm more just reciting the lyrics, but it's not really about you.
Yeah, my mom never said that about me anyway.
Of course, we're going to do Creedence Clearwater Revival and their 1968 hit song, Suzie Q. Let me give you a little history on Creedence Clearwater Revival first. They are a band from El Cerrito, California in the San Francisco Bay Area. They were originally formed in 1959, called themselves the Blue Velvets. They later changed their name to the Gollywogs. Kind of an interesting name, before finally changing the band name to Creedence Clearwater Revival in 1967. Now their sound is very bluesy, rockabilly, southern rock, R&B, which is kind of interesting because singing about bayous, catfish, and things like that from the South and the way they sound they get, and they're from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, these are the elements of the Cajuns.
Yes, exactly. So, and another sound that I really find is their early stuff is pretty psychedelic, and it's what I kind of find enjoying more, especially like this song. I really like the very early Creedence, the first couple albums. So Creedence is formed from John Fogerty on lead guitar and vocals, his brother Tom Fogerty on rhythm guitar, Stu Cook on bass, and Doug Clifford on drums. Now, between 1969 and 1971, they were a huge band, no doubt about it, one of the biggest in the world. They released 14 top 10 singles and 5 consecutive top 10 albums in the U.S. They had 2 albums, reached number 1, Green River and Cosmo's Factory. But funny thing about them, as far as singles go, they never had a number 1 hit single in the U.S.
Really?
No, they had 5 singles peak at number 2, but no number 1s.
I'm amazed.
Yeah. So during their tenure, they had 7 studio albums, 3 live albums, 29 singles, and wait for it, 41 compilation albums. So one of those bands we've talked about that has way more compilations. I mean, 7 studio albums to 41 compilations. That's pretty big. They were the first major act to be signed to play Woodstock in 1969. For what it's worth, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. Now, of course, John Fogerty's brother Tom Fogerty had passed away from the complication of AIDS in 1990, so there was only 3 remaining members. But because they were having problems at the time, as they still are to this day, John Fogerty refused to play with the other 2 members and barred them from coming on stage, and instead had to play with his own all-star band that included Bruce Springsteen and Robbie Robertson. So kind of interesting.
Oh, the drama.
Yeah, there's definitely drama. I mean, he definitely ruled with an iron fist. But at the same time, and we'll get into that a little more, I mean, John Fogerty kind of is Creedence. I mean, he's the sound, he's the guitar, he's written the music and the lyrics, and he really didn't let the other guys lend a hand, good or bad, for what it is.
Someone has to be the boss.
Yeah, I mean, they basically broke up because of that, because they did not appreciate John Fogerty's overly controlling and his dominant attitude with the group. They didn't like it because he would not let them have any say. And when you look at their success, should he have? I don't know. You make the call.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but Stu Cook and Doug Clifford, they played together after that, and they eventually formed Creedence Clearwater Revisited in 1995. And of course, John Fogerty has had a very extensive and great solo career and is still touring to this day. So yeah, big band. So do you want to get the song review?
I do.
And now it's time for the song review.
So, of course, today we're doing Creedence Clearwater, Suzie Q. And before we get to the song details, what is your history with Creedence Clearwater Revival, and more in particular, the song Suzie Q?
Creedence Clearwater Revival is one of the home staples of a classic rock station. So, I mean, their music's been around forever. These guys, I don't think there's ever been a Vietnam War movie that was made without a Creedence Clearwater Revival on the soundtrack somewhere. I really say that these guys wrote the soundtrack to the Vietnam War. Suzie Q, my experience with this song is really just passive listening on classic radio. It's popular. It's a very simple song. It seems like there's only one verse, and it just repeats. It doesn't repeat with the music, as I found out listening to it this time. So that's my experience with them. Most shocked to find that they are from San Francisco instead of the bayous of Louisiana.
Yeah, they're definitely an interesting group. They were one of my introductions, the group was, to classic rock when I was in my early teen years. So I ended up with both their greatest hits and really dove into their other albums after that. And like I said, I really liked their early stuff. But let me give you a little history on the song Suzie Q. So the single was released on June 15th of 1968. It was recorded at Coast Recorders in San Francisco and produced by Saul Zaentz. The B-side, funny enough, was a song called Suzie Q Part 2. So what they had done is the album version of this song is almost 9 minutes long, and they took it and split it in half for A and B side of the single, which is kind of an interesting way to do it. So the song is not written by Creedence Clearwater Revival. It is originally written by Dale Hawkins, Stan Lewis, and Eleanor Broadwater. The original version was released by one of the songwriters, Dale Hawkins, in 1957. It actually peaked at number 27 on the Billboard charts. But we are talking about CCR's version. Their version hit number 11 in the U.S. and number 10 in Canada. Did not chart in the U.K. This is the first single released under the Creedence Clearwater Revival name. They did release one other single called Portabil that was released when the band was known as the Gollywogs, but didn't really have any hit or anything like that. So another interesting thing about this song, this is the only Creedence Clearwater Revival song to hit the top 40 that was not written by John Fogerty. And like I stated earlier, the album version is over 8 minutes long, and the single was split for the A and B sides. It's kind of not split right in the middle, but they kind of changed the way it worked. But I'm more used to the full album song. I think it's much better anyways.
Oh, yeah, and I'm just used to the radio version.
Yeah. The song for the band Creedence, it started as it was really a jam session for them during concerts to fill time. They jammed this song 10, 15, 20 minutes.
I believe that.
Yeah, they played it so much, it just made natural sense for them to go in and record it at this time. It is one of the few songs from CCR where you can hear the other band members besides John Fogerty on here, and you can hear them on the second part of the song, either part 2 or the second half of the album version. So he ruled with an iron fist and didn't want to hear any of them on the music, apparently.
I guess not. He's just looked up and said, hey, I am the vocals.
I guess so. And I can't say that he was wrong. So one of the songwriters and the person that released the song early, Dale Hawkins, has stated the song is about the spirit of Louisiana, where the dance step that was called the Suzie Q was popular at the time. It was a significant part of the musical culture at the time, especially in the 1930s. But I mean, when you really listen to it, it's mostly about a guy that does not want to get into a relationship with a girl. Even though he has a lot of affection for her, he knows she's going to cheat on him. I mean, you can read into the lyrics. They're pretty self-explanatory. So, also other people have said that Suzie Q is a reference to a street drug called Seroquel that was used to treat schizophrenia and psychotic disorders. I really don't buy into that, just simply because the song came out of the dance step of the 30s and things like that, so that doesn't make much sense to me, but you think what you want to think, I guess.
And especially considering how often do they use street drugs to treat schizophrenia and psychosis rather than cause it?
Yeah, I'm not sure there, but I don't really buy into that. But that's the good thing about music. You can think whatever the hell you want.
That's right.
So the single by CCR is certified gold by the RIAA in the U.S. with over 1 million in single sales. It's been covered by many other artists, more than I name, but a few popular ones are the Rolling Stones, Johnny Rivers, Jose Feliciano, the Everly Brothers, like I said, a ton of others. So after sitting down and listening to this song, of course, we listened to part 1 and part 2 a couple of times. What are your thoughts on CCR and Suzie Q?
I was really impressed by the opening on it. This is a different opening than we get in a lot of songs in that it's a drum opening. It starts off with the drums, and then the guitar joins in along with the tambourine, and that's followed by the bass and the keyboard, and finally the vocals. It's kind of different. Usually there's like a hard opening with the vocals coming right in, or a little bit of guitar intro, but this one, it's the drums. I like that, but I'll tell you, this song is very much psychedelic, and it's deceptive at the beginning. You don't feel like you're going to be going in for an acid trip at the opening of the song. However, as the verses continue, I gotta say, it's like one verse that keeps repeating the verse over and over, but it's never repeated the same way, and so it doesn't feel repetitive because the psychedelics kick in and they start bending and throwing effects in there, and it starts to get weird, and it brings off some interesting feelings. So this is a song that, with as much as I've heard it, on the radio passively. I've never actively listened to it and realized how much of an acid trip this song really is. The whole listening of this song just kind of gave me this unnerving feeling. Listening to it actively for the first time to critique it, I'm just like, whoa, this is a very different song than I am familiar with. I knew that it had a little bit of weirdness to it, but it really gets weird. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think you get a lot of that from listening to the full album version, too, because the second part of the song, or if you listen to the full version, it's a lot of instrumental, but it has a lot of sounds going on, and it is kind of psychedelic. And, of course, we're in 1968. This group's trying to fit in with other things, and this is the era of Creedence I really like. But like you stated, this song, I think you said something about there isn't any movies about Vietnam that can't be in. This song specifically was in Apocalypse Now.
Oh, it was? I forgot that.
Yeah, so, but I do like how you spoke about the drum intro, because there isn't a lot of songs that have that drum intro where it comes in and it just kind of builds and builds. But the one thing, you got that recognizable guitar lick throughout. The bass is decent in here. The drums are good in it. The vocals perfect. I think Fogerty has one of the best vocals there are. It just fits the kind of music. I don't know, his southern, whatever you want to call swamp rock sound, you know, right out of the bayou of, like you said, Oakland Bay or whatever. But, you know, the one thing I can say is he is playing his 325 Rickenbacker in this. I know he's fitted it with a humbucker. It was something he played very early. But if you listen to anything in this song, listen to the guitar work, because of the guitar work, the solos, the little licks and things in this are absolutely amazing. This song is actually the song that got me into Creedence Clearwater Revival. And I enjoy it. I like listening to the 8-minute version. I like his vocals throughout. You got that section in it where it sounds like he's in an echo chamber or through a Leslie speaker or something. That part where he's saying, say that you'll be true, say that you'll be true. That part, but it's all echoey. I really enjoy it. I can't say enough good things about this song. This is not only a song that got me into Creedence, it's one of the songs that got me into the early classic rock and got me diving into things even more and more. I just enjoy this song.
I can really see why. The music in this is really impressive. You can feel that this is a jam session song for them.
Yeah, and it really is. And I enjoy the guitar in this. And Creedence has got some good guitar. You know, some of their songs later start bordering on country. Some of them are straight country. They've got a unique sound. I love it all the way through, but I certainly enjoy the early stuff a lot more. Their jam session songs, if you will. Just really good. And I love the Fogerty guitar and vocal. Yeah, can't say enough good about this song. So do you want to get the song rating?
Let's rate it.
Song rating.
So if this is your first episode, our rating system's pretty basic. 0 to 10 scale, 10 being the best. So I put this song at a pretty solid 7. I think I would probably rate it higher if I was on drugs, but because this just sounds like the sort of song that you need to drop some acid for. It's a very beautiful song to listen to and a little unnerving because it really is an acid trip in your ears. That's where where do you put this one, Justin?
Yeah, I'm going to rate this quite a bit higher than you because I like it. I like the long songs. I like the heavy use of guitar in it. I like the fact that he's using a 325 Rick because guess what I showed you before we got here? I just bought myself one.
Yeah, Justin is now the proud owner of a 325 Rick.
Yeah, and I love it. So it's a 325 C64 Miami. So kind of the one John Lennon got when he got to America. Yeah, I love the guitar. I love the sounds it has. I just had to have it, and I've been wanting one for a long time. But I love what Fogerty's done with his in here. He has equipped it with a humbucker. But yeah, it's an amazing sound, and that's the one thing I can say throughout this is the jam session and the guitar licks he uses through this. It's an amazing sound. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the song Suzie Q, whether it be from CCR or some other band, but sit down and listen to CCR's album version of this because it really does rock. I rate this a 9.
That's fair.
So yeah, it's really a good song for me, a good gateway song for me, for not only CCR but a lot of other bands. So yeah, I really enjoy it
for sure. Beautiful song.
So that's CCR and Suzie Q. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to send us a suggestion for a song to review, send them to classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on
Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.